Hi folks, welcome back for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 87 from the Hoi Rotterdam Arena in Rotterdam, Netherlands for the first UFC's first jaunt over there to Holland as the heavyweights take centre stage as Alistair Overeem faces off against Andrei Arlovski and Stefan Skyscraper Struve faces off against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. First and foremost, I would like to thank all the people that I met in Las Vegas regarding my video. Luis, Anna, Joey, there was a few people that I met through there which came up and spoke to me, which was a little bit weird but was pretty cool. Thank you for that. Also Dan Levy, had a great time speaking fights over there with you, buddy. And if you don't know who Dan is, half the battle down below there, I'll put that in the drop down box. Go listen to some of his best podcasts and fight breakdowns for this week's fight and every week's fight card. And as always, there's Brian, there is Kyle, there is my favourite podcast. Go follow those guys down below because they put in a hell of a lot of work and they put out great content as well. So also come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Let's see if this card, I really like the look of this card. I think overall from top to bottom there's a lot of intriguing fights. So we're going to get straight into it. Flyweight division, Yuta Sasaki comes in for Paddy Holohan, who, all the best Paddy with the retirement. I hope you enjoy your time with your little man growing up, and all the best. I know you're going to stick around the sport and help a lot of guys in that part of Ireland, so all the best to you. As Paddy Holohan pulls out, Yuta Sasaki comes in and faces Willie Gates here. Intriguing fight because both guys are kind of known to kind of quit a little bit. Willie Gates, last time out, seen him against Dustin Ortiz. He starts Darryl Montague last summer, and then he came in, I think it was about 4 weeks notice against Dustin Ortiz, and he came out very strong in that one, but then he kind of, as the fight went on, you could see the kind of fight coming out of him and the quit coming out of him, and Dustin Ortiz just made him quit. Yuta Sasaki, on the other hand, he's lost to Leandro Issa, who's a big guy at 135. Taylor Lapalus, he lost to him there, and he kind of has shown signs of quitting himself. The way I see this fight going, if Willie Gates doesn't knock this guy out early, probably in the first round, Yuta Sasaki takes over. He's got a legit, really good ground game that is forever progressing and forever moving forward. I think that if he gets on Willie Gates anywhere on the ground, he will submit him. So I can see Yuta Sasaki submitting Willie Gates with a rear naked choke, probably at the end of round number 2, round number 3. But I can see one of these guys, I can see this fight being finished. If not, I can see it for Sasaki because I think his gas tank and just him being the bigger guy coming down from bantamweight will win him this fight. So I'm going to go Yuta Sasaki via submission. I'm going to go early round number 3 for that. Welterweight division, Leon Edwards against Dominic Waters. I think this is pretty much coming off a loss for Leon Edwards. I think this is a good fight to come back to fairly quick after that loss in December to Kamaru Usman. We'll talk about Dominic Waters. He came in against George Sullivan, and as I say, what can I say about Dominic Waters? He's a very gritty, tenacious, come forward fighter. Looks to kind of put you against the cage in the clinch and hit you with some shots, try and look for the takedown, but he's going all the time. He's always looking to kind of progress and move forward and kind of hurt you in some way and kind of just dominate the fight and kind of win the fight via decision. I can't see him. He doesn't really have much in the way of skills on the feet. Submissions, he's a bit iffy as well. And then he lost last time to Dong Hyun Kim, which is no real kind of defeat really, because losing to Dong Hyun Kim, he is one of the best in that welterweight division. It's not a bad thing. He probably learned quite a lot from it. I just think that Leon Edwards, as I say, coming off that loss to Kamaru Usman, will want it more. I think he's the faster fighter. In the fight with George Sullivan now, I know he came in short notice. He was kind of getting beat up with the speed, and George Sullivan is not a fast fighter. Leon Edwards has got a very fast twitch, so he can hit you with a jab very quickly. He can put the high kick up there very quickly. If I saw it kind of first hand in Glasgow, it was cage side against Peter Pawlik, and I think he hit him with a head kick in maybe the end of round number 2, and it got up so quick and it caught Pawlik off guard, knocked him down. Didn't finish up with punches, went on to win the fight via unanimous decision. I just think his fast feet and his very fast hands, we've seen against Seth Brzezinski, can knock you out. He's got power there as well. If he can hit you with that right shot, you will go down. I think Waters is a tough, gritty fighter. I can see him getting through this fight, but I see a unanimous decision victory for Leon Edwards. Fight Pass prelim fight, the premier fight for the prelims, I should say, Fight Pass. Kyoji Horiguchi against Neil Seery. Now, I love this fight. Love Kyoji Horiguchi, and say Neil Seery is just one of the top guys, real guys in the sport. I mean, he'll probably fight this Sunday and then probably go back to work on the Monday. That's the kind of guy this dude is. Was thoroughly over the moon for him winning that fight the night bonus, a performance of the night bonus against John De Los Rios in Dublin. Got a lovely submission there. I seen all his family in the Fighters Hotel afterwards, and you could see how much that kind of meant to him and his family. It was awesome to see. But personally, this is kind of a head over heart kind of fight for me here, because I think Neil Seery has a chance. I really do. If this fight stays standing, I think Neil Seery has a chance, because he does hit hard. He puts his shots together very well. Horiguchi is the quicker fighter, where I think that Seery is definitely the more kind of power puncher, but the speed of Horiguchi can be quite very, very quick. We've seen in that fight with Johnson the kind of next level of quickness. He got dominated in that fight and got submitted with the last second of round number 5. But he is a very smart fighter, a very good fighter. I think as I'm saying, he's a smart fighter, I think he needs to take this to the ground, because I think that's where Seery is weakest. He's definitely showed improvements since he came into the UFC. I mean, his fight with Pickett was smart, took him down. He was getting tagged up on his feet down there. But since then, he's made improvements. We've seen with Chris Beal in Sweden that he's made improvements there. Head over heart, I'm going to have to go with Horiguchi. I just think he's overall the better fighter. But I would not be surprised if Neil Seery would win this fight. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But I think Horiguchi, the kind of younger, fresher fighter, who'll kind of keep going and hit him with strikes and then take him down. I can see that happening. I can see Seery taking the round off him. 29-28 for Kyoji Horiguchi for me. Lightweight division, we have Jan Cabral against Reza Madadi. Jan Cabral kind of wins and losses in the UFC. He lost last time out to Johnny Case, which in a fight, he probably won that first round. Was doing alright in that one and then just kind of faded out. Johnny Case took over, won the decision there. Beat Naoki Kitane, which is not saying much, because I think he's probably the worst fighter maybe to ever come into the UFC, except for Anthony Cristodolo maybe. And beat David Mitchell. I think after that he lost to Zach Cummins, which is not a bad loss, because Cummins is a decent fighter. I heard that he's moved to Europe. I heard that he's moved over here to Spain, opened up his own gym in Barcelona. So his training partners, you don't know what he's going to be getting there in Spain, which is something that kind of is a red flag for me. But he's facing a fight in Reza Madadi, who hasn't really fought much in 3 years. We all know his story. Went to prison, a wrestler kind of by trade. We've seen his fight against Norman Park. Wasn't the greatest fight. I thought actually Norman Park looked pretty decent in that fight, in all honesty. But Madadi, having that kind of getting the ring rust out the road, he has a chance here. Initially I was going to pick Jan Cabral. I think he's the bigger, kind of harder guy to just the bigger guy, and I think that down on the ground he's sneaky down on the ground. He can hit you with submissions down there. Madadi is very, very good with his wrestling, though, very top heavy. Once he gets you down there, he kind of keeps you there and he hits you with some nice shots. This is a coin flip fight for me. I think I'm going to go... I want to go Madadi. I just don't really trust him too much, so I'm going to go Jan Cabral via split decision. I think it's going to be a close one, though. Not betting this fight at all. I'm not even looking at it. One fight I am betting is next up in the lightweight division. We have Sergeant Nick Hein against John Tuck. Now, John Tuck's a guy I've always been impressed with, even when I seen him in Manchester against Norman Park many years ago. I think he hurt his foot in that fight, but he kept on coming forward and showed a will to win that fight. And since then, we've seen improvements. He has lost a fight in between there. He lost to Kevin Lee, which was a very close fight back in 2014. Beat Jake Lindsay via submission with like heel strikes to the body, which was a weird one. And then he submitted Tai Hoon Bang last time out. I think it was in Manila. He looked phenomenal in that fight. Got the submission. His jab and his striking looked phenomenal. Looked very long in that fight as well. And I think he's been working with a new strength and conditioning guy as well. He fights at the MMA Lab. He's been going to Alliance MMA as well. I like him in this fight against Nick Hein, but we'll just say Hein is a tough guy. He always go to decision. He's only lost in UFCs to a really good fighter in James Vick, and he has beat some decent fighters in my eyes that come into the UFC. Like Lucas Tajewski is a guy that I've watched for a long time. and he's a tough fighter. Won that via unanimous decision. Last time he beat Yusuke Kasuya, and he beat Drew Doba, I think, way back in his UFC debut. I think he's kind of got a judo background as well as Nick Hein, but I think that overall, I just think that John Tuck is the better fighter, and I think he was plus 180 for a bet in this one. I've already bet on John Tuck. I think he's a really good pick for this card, and for the win as well if you're betting this card. So my pick will be John Tuck via decision. Moving on, we have Magnus Cedenblad making his return against Gareth McLennan. Now, I pretty much wrote off Gareth McLennan after his couple of fights in the UFC. I didn't really think an awful lot of him, but his last fight in Dublin against Bubba Bish was actually really, really exciting. I think it was the first fight of the night. It was a good fight to get the crowd going, and he got the finish in round number 3. I say the guys coming out of South Africa aren't great. They aren't really known to be too great. We've seen that Ruan Potts come in, Cyril Laska. McLennan lost his fight in the UFC. And he's against the returning Magnus Cedenblad here, who I think is very, very underrated. He has some good wins in the UFC, but we haven't really seen too much of this guy. So Cedenblad, last time we seen him, I think it was about 18 months ago, where he beat Scott Askham, and looked decent in that one. I think he took a couple of big shots in that, took the fight to the ground, kind of controlled it from there. Where he has his length, he can find submissions down there. We've seen that against Krzysztof Jotko. He came in for a takedown, Jotko got caught, put him to sleep with a guillotine choke. Now Jotko's a tough fighter in that division. He's one coming up through the ranks. I think he's on a bit of a win streak as well. So Cedenblad, I think, is just... When I heard about this fight, even last week, I put out on Twitter that I think McLennan his grittiness could win this fight, and I still think he could. But watching that wee bit more tape on Cedenblad, I think that Cedenblad has more tools. I think it's going to be scrappy. I think it's going to be sloppy. But I see Magnus Cedenblad getting a very close decision once again. Maybe even a submission in early round number 3 with those long limbs. In fact, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go submission for Magnus Cedenblad in round number 3. And the prelim fight of the Fox Sports 1 card is another fight. I think if you're looking to bet on fights, this is a good fight to bet on. Rustam Khabilov against Chris Wade. Now, I don't think it's going to be an overly great fight, but I think if you're a betting man like I am, that you want to probably have a look at Chris Wade in this one. I think he's about minus 180 again, and both guys can have similar kind of skill sets. I think that Chris Wade, Khabilov's kind of stayed in the same kind of fighter. He hasn't really changed too much, where Chris Wade, his striking's coming along. I thought last time out he looked decent in Boston, but this is definitely a big step up for Chris Wade here. I mean, in his last fight against Megi Baghdad really hasn't got too much of a ground game, and it showed in that one where he got submitted. Beat Christian Hiagos, kind of struggled to take down Zhang Lipeng, but got the decision there, and then he beat Kane Carrizosa at UFC 177. But normally a grappler, but his striking is definitely coming on. He's got that nice long jab coming out there, and I think this fight's going to be very, very similar. We've seen Khabilov come back from a kind of long injury against Norman Park, 29-28 there. Before that, he lost to two kind of really good guys, Adriano Martins, very close split, and then he lost via submission to Benson Henderson. So he's faced some really good guys. I just think on the similar level, it's kind of dog or pass here, and I think the pick is going to be Chris Wade via a very close split decision. But I think I haven't bet this fight yet, but I will look into it closer to fight time. But I think Chris Wade, if you're looking for an underdog, is not a bad one to go for. My pick, Chris Wade via a split decision. Moving on to the main card, we start in the women's strawweight division. Karoline Kowalkiewicz against Heather Jo Clark. I think this is pretty one-sided if you ask me. I think that Karoline should win the fight. She very all-around good fighter. She came into the UFC against Ronda Marcos back in December, looked decent. Marcos is a tough girl to fight, stuff to take down, hurt Marcos in the feet, and just kind of rode out a decision victory there. She beat Masuki Inoue via a split decision back in Invicta, and she's a very tough fighter as well. Heather Clark, she's been out for about 18 months, I believe, with an injury, like a really bad knee injury. She beat Beck Rollins in the tough finale, and then she decided to go and kiss her dad full on the lips, which was one of the weirdest things I think I've ever seen in my life. But who am I to judge? I just think that Karolina's a little bit too quick. I think she's the better striker. I think she needs to watch Heather Clark if she gets her down, because Clark's crafty down in the ground. But when Heather Clark faces anybody kind of relatively decent, Herrig, relatively decent, that she'll be. I think that this is probably her toughest fight of her career. I think she's ahead of your Beck Rollins and your Felice Herrigs out there. So my pick is going to be Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I think she's going to beat Heather Jo Clark up, and she's going to win via decision. Light heavyweight division, we have Nikita Krylov against Francimar Barroso. Now, I can't believe the line for this one, because I think this is the bet and steal of the whole entire card. I think he was plus 150 when I saw this afternoon, and I put him in a parlay, a 3-team parlay with Leon Edwards and someone else I'll get onto in this card later on, for a plus 250 comeback. So I put a load of money on that. Francimar Barroso, a very ugly fighter, not great anywhere. Just his fights don't look good. We've seen his fight in this, January against Elvis Mutaptic, and to be fair, and that's as good as he's kind of looked in his UFC run, but he still did not look great. Nikita Krylov, this guy is just exciting. Whether he wins, whether he loses, you just know the fight's gonna get finished. We've seen it back in the heavyweight division when he faced Walt Harris, Cody Donovan. Last time out, I believe he beat, his name's scoring me there, Pejao, who looked great at UFC 197. Stanislav Nedkov submitted him via guillotine choke. I think overall, Nikita Krylov really starches Barroso everywhere, but Barroso can make it ugly and he can make it scrappy. I just think that the aggression, he needs to be patient in this fight, but also have that aggression to kind of keep forward like he's done in all the fights I've mentioned there. I seen him in Dublin. He took Cody Donovan out with strikes right at the end of that round there, round number 1. If he shows a little bit more patience, his strikes will come and his advantageous positions will come. That's why I see a finish for Nikita Krylov in this one. I'm going to go a first round. If you're playing this guy in DraftKings, I think it's a good pick as well. Nikita Krylov, I think he's going to TKO Barroso in round number 1. So that's my pick for that light heavyweight brawl there. Moving on to the women's bantamweight division, we have Germaine de Randemie against the debutante Anna Panda Elmose. We'll start off with Germaine de Randemie. I mean, she's 5-3 record. She is a 3-time, I think, kickboxing world champion. She's got really good striking, like very long fighter, good kicks, good leg kicks. Just an overall really good striker. She showed that last time out against Larissa Pacheco, where she got the finish in that one there. But she has lost a few. But I think this is a kind of another head over heart thing here, because I have watched Anna Elmose since her amateur days. She's only been in the sport like 3 years. She quit her job to come in here, and I think she's a legit contender. I think if there was a 125 division, which there may well be, because we've seen that Joanne Calderwood and Val Letourneau, they're fighting back in Canada at 125. I think Elmose would be a really good fighter down in that 125 division. She's maybe a little bit undersized, but she has really good skills. Her fight against Sinead Kavanagh when she was an amateur was a really fun fight. It's the only fight that's went to decision. Emma Delaney, she came out and she popped her with a huge right hand, and then from the back just rained down lefts and absolutely smashed Emma Delaney down there. I take Madadi, just kind of beat her up, was non-stop. Her pace is really, really good. She keeps on going. And then against Marta Barella, she just kind of did the same. She kept on going. She doesn't stop, and she goes. I would love to pick, this is the fight I really want to pick, Anna Elmose, but I'm going to go with the noggin up here. Too many fights for Germaine de Randemie. Being in Holland as well, I think is a big thing. I think she hits harder. I think she's the more accurate striker, is what I'm trying to say. I think Elmose probably maybe hits harder. She's a really hard-hitting girl. I'm going to have to go with Germaine de Randemie. I think it's going to be... I can see Elmose taking a round off de Randemie. I want to pick Elmose, but I'm going to go with the smart play, which I think is Germaine de Randemie. Moving on to the best fight in the card, I think. Albert Einstein Tumenov against Gunnar Nelson. I think it's a great fight. Albert Tumenov is definitely one of the young guns coming through the UFC that everybody's got their eye on, because his striking is next level. I mean, his technique and his accuracy is like second to none. He took a little bit of a beating last time against Lawrence Larkin. He was beating Larkin with his punches, but he got ate up by leg strikes in that one, and that was the first time we've ever seen Tumenov kind of hurt in a fight, but he pulled through it and definitely got the decision victory. It looked phenomenal in doing so. Knockout of Matt Dwyer was a great like double head kick knockout. Hit him once, go back up again, hit him again. Alan Jouban's got questions with his chin, and Tumenov found that out with a head kick and then followed up with punches. Nico Masoki was a fight I was actually very impressed with, because Masoki is a big dude for welterweight, and I think this is where Gunnar Nelson is going to want to. He's probably looked at this fight maybe a little bit closer, because Masoki had a little bit of a success, but not too much. I think he put him against the cage, he tried to hold him there, tried to look for the takedown, showed great takedown defense, did Tumenov. That's where I think Gunnar Nelson is going to look for this. Now, I thought last time out Gunnar Nelson, a bit of a silly game plan against Damian Maia. I thought his fight against Maia, he tried to prove too much on the ground, and Maia is the most elite guy probably on the ground, and he shouldn't have probably went there, did so, didn't come out looking bad. He just kind of got dominated by the superior grappler on that one. Before that against Brandon Thatch, showed he's got good striking skills. I thought Thatch would kind of eat him up with the feet there, but I thought he would find a way to win the fight, and he did. He hit a nice 1-2 combo, took him down, and got the submission victory there. I'm going to pick Gunnar Nelson. I've already bet Gunnar Nelson this one. I think it's another huge step up. I think it's a huge step up again for Albert Tumenov. I think that if Gunny can put his game plan together well, I think he will win this fight. I think if he gets it to the ground, he will find a submission in that one. So I am going to go with Gunnar Nelson. I'm going to go decision. I can see maybe taking him down in rounds 2 and 3, and possibly whether he keeps Tumenov there, I don't know, but maybe hurt him with strikes a little bit. And yeah, I'm going to pick Gunnar Nelson in that one. A little bit dark here. Sorry. There we go. Get a little bit of light in here. Next up, co-main event, we have Stefan Struve against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. I'm still surprised Antonio Silva's fighting. I think that he has a chance in this fight, because I don't think Stefan Struve has looked overly great either. So last time, we all know, I think Antonio Silva can't stand anymore. He can't stand and strike, because his chin is literally, his head's here, his chin's over there. So Mark Hunt showed that last time, beat him up really badly. Stefan Struve got taken down against Jared Rosholt, did not look great in that fight. And yeah, I just think that both fighters here are definitely kind of on the decline, which is kind of weird to say about Stefan Struve, because Struve is a young fighter still. He's been around the UFC for a long time, but I think he's had his problems. But I think Antonio Silva, I'm still surprised he's in the UFC personally. I think that he's going to get taken out in this fight. I think his only way to win this fight is to take the fight to the ground and use that smothering top game that he has, which he could very well do. I just don't see him doing it. I'm going to pick Stefan Struve via submission. TKO in round number 2. And the main event of the evening, we have Alistair Overeem against Andrei Arlovski. Now, as people may know, I'm not the biggest Alistair Overeem fan, but I thought his last few fights he's fought very well, and fought very smartly as well. Last time out against Junior Dos Santos, I thought he looked really good, really composed, just a smart fight, and he knows that his chin isn't great, but he stuck at it, landed the big shot in the round number 2. When he's patient and he fights like that, he's a very hard fighter to beat, and he's looked, I mean, he has looked very good in his last couple of fights. He wins his fight, he probably gets himself a title shot against the winner of Verdun Miocic. in a very fun fight card which is coming out, which I will have out next week. Andrei Arlovski, on the other hand, coming off that kind of destruction against Stipe Miocic, I actually thought Arlovski would have enough to beat Miocic there. Miocic blew him straight out the water. Before that, had a very kind of close fight against Francimar, which I think I scored for Francimar on the night. Watched it back, it's just one of them coin flip fights. I think if Alistair Overeem can fight smart like he has been doing, try and get it into the clinch where he is definitely the stronger fighter, and we've seen that when Arlovski gets in close, sometimes he can get clipped and he can get hurt. Overeem has those great strikes from the clinch, knees to the body like we've seen with Brock Lesnar way back. I know that Arlovski's a different fighter, but I think if he hits Arlovski with those shots, he will still go down. So that's how I see this fight going. I think the longer the fight goes, Alistair's going to kind of catch him, put him against the cage and hit him with some shots. But Arlovski definitely has a chance in this one. It's a coin flip fight. As I say, one of my bets for this one is Alistair Overeem, Leon Edwards, Nikita Krylov treble parlay. Comes out to plus 250. Pretty confident in that one. But my pick for the fight will be Alistair Overeem via TKO in round number 3. So that's my picks for UFC Rotterdam. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Follow the good guys down below me there. I'll be back probably in a couple of days' time for UFC 198, which is just a bumper card. A fun card I can't wait to break down. Been watching tape on that for the last 2 days. Until then, you take care. Enjoy the fights when they come around on Sunday. And see you all then. Take care.